You've heard it before. These streets are full of danger. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't believe it, we'll show it to you in this video that the streets are not only dangerous, but quite frankly, infiltrated by cruel murderers. So if you're a minor, don't go out alone. And if you have children, don't let them go to school without an adult. Otherwise, they could end up like poor Jessica Ridgeway, a 10-year-old girl who fell into the clutches of a young and disturbed killer. On October 5, 2012, Jessica Ridgeway was reported missing after failing to return home after school. But fact is, she never made it to school, nor to the park where she'd arranged to meet her best friend and go to class together. She was abducted just 3 blocks from her residence in the community of Westminster, Colorado, in the western suburbs of Denver. Her absence was quickly noticed in the classroom since Jess never missed a single day. And she had a charismatic personality that didn't go unnoticed. Her teachers immediately called her mother, Sarah, to ask why the girl was absent. But it took the mom hours to answer as she was sleeping after working all night and had put her phone on silent to avoid interrupting her rest. She didn't find out that her daughter had been missing for hours until she woke up around 4 in the afternoon and realized her daughter was not at home. Alarmed, she called the school. And it was then that everyone realized that something serious had happened to Jessica. Her mother immediately called the police to report Jessica's disappearance, knowing that her daughter would never miss school voluntarily.
Hey, what's going on there?
My daughter's missing. I guess she never made it to school this morning.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
Okay, what's your daughter's name?
Jessica Ridgeway.
And when did you last see her?
This morning when she left at 8:30.
Did she walk?
Yeah. And I checked her friend's house that she walked and they're not answering the door.
And you said that the school called, so they weren't?
And I work nights, so I slept through the call.
Okay, Sarah, sorry about that. We've got several officers on the way over to help you out, okay?
After talking to the police, Sarah went to her neighbor's house to ask if they'd seen Jessica, but no one had seen her in the last few hours. Sarah became increasingly overwhelmed as she set off for the school, scanning every inch of the route to school and searching the school campus in hopes of finding her little girl somewhere. But after a relentless search, Sarah realized that Jessica was nowhere to be found, which sent her into a deep sense of emotional collapse. She was quite frankly overcome with the belief that her daughter had suffered an accident or that someone had kidnapped her, which is unfortunately what happened. Jessica was an intelligent and safety-conscious girl, so it was unimaginable to her mother that she would voluntarily get into a car with a stranger. Jessica was either forcibly abducted, or perhaps she voluntarily got into a car with someone she knew. But the truth is, someone had taken her away.
I watch her walk out the door, and I shut the door, and that's the last time I saw her, and I want to come walking back through that door.
And although Sarah, family members, and neighbors searched for Jessica throughout the night the day she disappeared, she was nowhere to be found. The last time her mother saw Jessica was on the morning of Friday, October 5, 2012, when she returned home from work at about 7:30 a.m. to help her daughter get ready for school. She woke her up like every morning, and Jessica started the day with a granola bar and an orange accompanied by some TV as she got ready to leave for school. Once ready, Jessica filled her water bottle and called her friend's father to plan to meet at the park near her house so that they could walk to school together. Sarah recalled that day the little girl was wearing blue jeans, a puffy black jacket with a pink lining, black boots, her doctor-prescribed glasses with purple frames, and a pink backpack. Her mother did not accompany Jessica to school, as Jess had told her that she would plan to meet her friend and her father in the park near her house and then go to school together. So, Sarah saw no need to accompany her. But that would end up being a decision that she would regret for the rest of her life. Jessica never arrived at the park, and her friend and her father decided to leave without her after having waited till about 10 minutes before school started. They believed that Jessica's mother must have taken her to school and had forgotten to tell them. For her part, Sarah stated that she never let her daughter alone, noting that Jessica was always in the care of an adult. At night, while she worked, Jessica was cared for by her grandmother or her aunt, as the three shared the same house. She stressed that she took good care of her daughter and tried to make sure she was always well. She didn't know how her little girl could disappear in just a matter of minutes. But who kidnapped and murdered poor little Jessica? On the night of October 5th, police officers searched through the night using bloodhounds in near freezing temperatures. The day was snowy, but regardless of the snow and the low temperatures, police did not stop looking for the missing girl, as they feared the worst. A few weeks prior, there'd been reports of a white van trying to lure little girls with promises of candy. It was possible that Jessica had been the victim of a criminal group, so authorities activated an Amber Alert so that parents wouldn't let their children go anywhere alone, something that the residents of Colorado found shocking. On October 6th, a day after the disappearance, an exhaustive search was launched by police, family members, and volunteers who joined the call of authorities to join forces to find the missing girl before it was too late. Police used all available resources to try and find her safe and sound, including thermal sensors, considering the possibility that Jessica was under a pile of snow. But their efforts were unsuccessful. Neither the technological equipment nor sniffer dogs were able to locate the child. They also posted Jess's photo and description, which was publicized by newspapers and TV channels. At the same time, purple ribbons were placed around school and along the route Jess took from the school to her house before she disappeared. Ribbons that served as a visual reminder to the public of the young girl's disappearance. Meanwhile, detectives began to create a list of possible suspects. The authorities also began to investigate the family, considering the possibility that some member of the family may have been involved. This included Jessica's father, Jeremiah Bryant, since he was divorcing Jessica's mother and fighting her for custody of the little girl. But he was quickly ruled out as a suspect, as he had an airtight alibi. At the time Jessica had disappeared, he was in Missouri, where he lived, and just that day he'd attended a court hearing on Jessica's custody, where he'd been subpoenaed to establish his child support payments. So it was impossible for him to have kidnapped his daughter. Detectives were left to investigate further and hypothesized that the abductor was likely to be a man and may have recently missed work or left town suddenly. He also may have recently changed his appearance or ditched his car. So they began reviewing local men who fit these profiles. On October 7th, 2 days after this mysterious disappearance, a man found an abandoned school backpack on a sidewalk containing boots, purple glasses, clothes, a pair of shoes soaked in urine, and a water bottle with the words, "Life is good" on it. All of these belongings were likely Jessica's. But this man was unaware of the missing persons case, so all he did was post his discovery on social networks with the aim of finding the mother of the girl who owned the belongings. Fortunately, someone saw the post and alerted the police, as the backpack, glasses, and clothes were just as Jessica's mother had described. And so, 48 hours after her disappearance, authorities had their first clue in the case of the disappearance of Jessica Ridgeway. Once authorities had the backpack in their hands, they proceeded to evaluate it and confirmed that without a doubt, it belonged to Jessica. And they found on it a detail that alarmed them. The backpack appeared to have some DNA on it that matched a case of assault and attempted kidnapping earlier that year involving an adult runner. Unfortunately, that attacker was not in the FBI system, so they did not know yet the identity of the aggressor. But they did know that the little girl was likely in the hands of a sexual pervert, which set alarm bells off. Even the fact that the clothes were soaked in urine was an ominous sign of potential danger to the little girl. Search squads were doubled, and authorities worked hard to find the identity of the aggressor through his DNA. 5 days after her disappearance, an officer found human body parts in a black garbage bag about a mile from Jessica's house in Arvada, Colorado. Not all of the body parts were in the bag, so before confirming whether or not the remains were Jessica's, they were taken to a coroner to be verified. Unfortunately, they had indeed found part of Jessica's body. So the mission from that point forward was to find the rest of the girl's body, and especially her depraved murderer, who satanically had left a cross inside the girl's vagina. The news shocked and saddened Jessica's family and friends, who stated, "What happened to her was really unfair. She was a good girl who was characterized by being fun, and she had a special ability to brighten everyone's life. She had a contagious personality and always showed a level of independence well ahead of her age, thanks to being a member of the cheerleading squad and interacting with older girls who were part of the squad." Her mother also confirmed that Jessica was a child of impeccable behavior, stating that she completed her homework without being asked twice. She added that Jessica liked to do everything on her own because she wanted to be her own person. In fact, she looked like an adult and had anxieties related to wanting to be a teenager before her time. She also was never able to fulfill her dream from October 2012 of being a zombie lifeguard on Halloween, her mother added. So, who killed Jessica? The person responsible for this heinous crime was Austin Sigg, a young man of just 17 years old, who was turned in on October 23rd by his own mother, Mindy Sigg. After he was arrested, he first denied having sexually assaulted Jessica. But when evidence of sexual assault was discovered, he had no choice but to confess everything he had done to the little girl, which he apparently did without the slightest remorse.
Hi, this is Molly at Westminster Police. Can I help you?
Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgeway murder.
And what's going on there? Ma'am,
Did you not hear me? He just confessed to killing her.
I know. I want you to tell me what's going on. Can you tell me exactly what he said?
But he did it, and he gave me details, and her remains are in my house.
Did you see them?
No.
Is he there with you?
Yes.
Is he cooperative?
Yes.
How old is your son?
17.
What is your son's name?
Austin Sigg.
Can you spell it? You said Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and spell his last name for me.
S as in Sam, I-G-G.
Okay, I understand that you're probably, feeling pretty crappy right now, but I want you to know that you did the right thing by calling.
He did it. He just wanted me to call. He is turning himself in.
Okay, do you think that he's going to be cooperative with the officers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He stated that on October 5th, he had parked his truck a few blocks before school with the intention of kidnapping a harmless girl to satisfy his dark pleasures. A girl appeared who was apparently late for school, and that was Jessica. He got out of his Jeep and waited for the girl to approach, then pulled her into his cab roughly. Although she screamed desperately, no one heard her, and so he put her in his car and drove as fast as he could, then tied her legs and hands together. He drove for about 10 to 15 minutes to his house, where he took advantage of the fact that no one else was at home, and he put her in his room. Once inside, the young man realized that Jess had urinated out of fear something bad would happen to her. The young man stated that he tried to calm her down and told her everything would be fine, and he put cartoons on TV and untied her. After that, however, began the real torture. He forced her to undress and put on a t-shirt and shorts that he had in his closet. Once Jessica changed, the sadistic young man began to sexually assault her several times, raping her ferociously. After that, the boy confessed he strangled her with a plastic bridle. But this attempt to kill her failed. So, he forced Jessica's head into a bathtub full of boiling water, and as a final act, pushed a cross into her genitals. He then dismembered her body in the bathtub, put her remains in garbage bags, and hid them in a shed in the backyard of his mother's house. He flushed other body parts down the toilet. He then decided to take the bag containing Jessica's body parts out of his house because he realized the police were using sniffer dogs in their search. So, in a panic of being discovered, he took them out and finally threw the backpack in a place far away enough to mislead the police. But it was not far enough to hide his guilt. All of the pressure surrounding the search for Jessica led Austin to confess to his mother, who also commented that the boy had an obsessive addiction to pornography.
Go on and tell me what happened after you grabbed her.
She screamed and I told her to be quiet, and I used zip ties to zip tie her hands and legs together, and then I hopped in the front of my car and I drove around for probably a good 10-20 minutes. I asked her if she had a cell phone, looked for that. She kept asking me questions and I would answer them, and I would lie to her. I would tell her that everything was going to be okay, and I would just lie to her. And I took her up to my room. And I sat her in my room, and I played Netflix on the TV for her. It was either like Family Guy or something. I don't remember. It was some cartoon. I just kind of sat there. I sat there and I stared at her, and I just remember absolutely blankness in my head. Having no thoughts, nothing. And it terrified me. And after sitting there for probably an hour, maybe, I don't exactly remember, time kind of started feeling weird then.
After navigating the neighborhood, he steered into the garage, sealing the grim fate that awaited Jessica. He subjected Jessica to further torture.
After that, I asked her to change into a pair of a shirt and shorts that I had. And I let her go into the bathroom to do that. And she came back, told her to put all her clothes in her backpack and get her backpack ready and everything to go back.
Austin was charged as an adult and transferred to an adult prison in Jefferson County for the first 52 days prior to trial. Once in court, Austin again accepted responsibility for the crime without showing a hint of remorse. Found guilty, a Colorado judge sentenced Austin to life in prison, and although everyone was screaming for the death penalty, Austin was not eligible for the death penalty because he was just 17 years old at the time of Jessica's death. Austin was given the possibility of parole after 40 years. But because the first-degree murder was only one of the 15 counts to which he pleaded guilty, he will spend the rest of his life in prison, something Judge Stephen Munsinger made abundantly clear as he gave Austin an additional 86 years for the other crimes for which he was convicted, which included sexual assault and the kidnapping of Jessica, plus the attempted kidnapping of the jogger. Police later found a letter in Austin's cell where he confessed what he'd done. I don't know anything about society because I've never been that good at relating to people. But I know that personally, I'm a monster. And there's no better word to describe what I've done than evil. Apparently, he still had a little humanity left in him, because from one moment to the next, he would begin to cry. Though we don't know if those tears were genuine remorse for what he'd done, or if they were simply a manifestation of his pain at having to live the rest of his life in prison. For their part, Jessica's family members try to remember her through the wonderful moments they had her by their side. In fact, during the hearing, Sarah Ridgeway shared photos of the 5th grader while music played, and she exclaimed, "I don't think the defendant has a right to hear how it affected me, my family, or who Jessica was. Once we walk out of this courtroom, we won't remember his name. We will only remember Jessica and the legacy she created. I miss her every breath I take," said Christine Ridgeway, Jessica's grandmother. "There are no more hugs or kisses or fingers digging into mine on the couch." At the end of this sad story, we're left with the sad conclusion that the world is indeed full of sick psychopaths who are not afraid to kill. Killers who are probably waiting for you and I in front of the doors of our houses. As sad as it sounds, this is the reality. And for that reason, as we said at the beginning, if you are young, don't leave home alone. And if you have children, don't let them go even to the corner without company, because there may be a perpetrator like Austin Sigg waiting to hurt them. Chelsea Park, where Jessica was kidnapped, was renamed Jessica Ridgeway Memorial Park in her honor, and everywhere there that you look, you'll see purple, her favorite color. In addition, a rock and a bench were placed as a kind of altar. If you enjoyed this story and want to continue hearing more criminal and shocking stories like this one, we invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video update. See you next time.